there to handle so that they can make some decisions on appointing officers and so forth in a bit.
Sure, you want me to start actually and just kind of give everybody an overview of the premise behind creating the authority?
Yes, that's perfect. And this is John Pennell. He's our bond attorney. Yeah, that'd be great, John. Thanks.
Sure. So we've actually talked to the county about this, I guess, for a couple of years. And then last year during the legislative session, worked with the county folks and y'all's attorney Ashley to have legislation drafted and introduced, which is ultimately passed by the General Assembly, that creates the Jones County Public Facilities Authority. The authority has jurisdiction in Jones County. It's appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and it was created by that legislative act, which is similar to what other counties and jurisdictions around the state of Georgia have done for a number of decades now. There are several of these, you hear them called different things, building authorities, public facilities authorities, but they exist around the state of Georgia primarily to be conduits to be able to finance capital projects for governmental bodies. And so Jones County, when this was created, the act is written in a way where not only Jones County, but also the other political subdivisions inside Jones County, so the city of Gray and the Jones County School District, can also contract with the authority and use it. But it's really primarily been set up for the benefit of the county. And it can be used as a conduit to issue revenue bonds to do capital projects for Jones County. And there are several projects that the county has kind of pending, and that's the reason to go ahead and have the authority appointed and have y'all meet today to appoint officers and have really just kind of a organizational meeting, because the county does have some projects that it would like to use the authority as a conduit to finance those projects. The way the authority can do that is through an intergovernmental contract with the county. And so the authority in that legislative act has the power to issue revenue bonds under the revenue bond law. And those revenue bonds can be secured by the revenues of a project, but they can also be secured by the revenues of an intergovernmental contract. And so, assuming y'all went forward with a bond issue for, say, Jones County, we would have an intergovernmental contract as a part of those financing documents where the contract revenues, the contract payments to the authority, create that revenue stream to pay back the revenue bond. And so that's really the primary purpose of the authority, is really to be a conduit, to be a, lack of a better word, a tool in the toolkit for the county, where if they've got a need for certain capital projects, they can use the authority to help, finance those projects. Since this is y'all's first meeting, what the act provides is that the members of the authority will elect a chairman, a vice chairman, and also a secretary or treasurer. The act says that that secretary and treasurer does not have to be a member of the authority, so if you wanted to appoint maybe a staff person or something like that from the county to act in that capacity, you could certainly do so. But my recommendation to you, is to go ahead and do that today during your meeting. Ashley and I have spoken offline about some other administrative things that the authority needs to do. It needs to, get a tax ID number from the IRS. It needs to get a board seal. It needs to register with the Department of Community Affairs. And so I'll work with Ashley and Jason on doing some of those things. But we appreciate y'all taking the time to be here this evening. Andrew and David Lucas with Stephen Nicholas, I'm going to hand the baton to them because there are a couple of projects right now that the county is looking at financing. One is a refinancing opportunity, and the other is a new obligation for some water and sewer improvements. So I'm going to let the two of them kind of take the baton here and tell you a little bit about what we may be coming back to the authority in the coming weeks with regard to those projects. But if you have any questions about the powers of the authority, how it was created, y'all's obligations, that sort of thing. I'm happy to help answer those questions.
Sure. Well, thanks, John. I'm Andrew Tritt. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and David Lucas is in Macon. As John alluded to, one of the first items that we would like the PFA to participate on is a potential refinancing of two obligations that the county has. One went to fund a Parks Rec project, and another went to fund a jail expansion. And given where interest rates are right now, the county has the ability to go refinance those obligations to save roughly between $300,000 and $400,000 to the taxpayers' benefit. That is the first item that would come before the Public Facilities Authority. Just as background, and John alluded to it, you guys are sort of like a financing conduit or mechanism. You guys don't actually own any sort of assets. You might hold title to something, but the authority itself doesn't have any sort of financial liabilities in itself. It really, any sort of bond purchaser looks straight through the authority to that intergovernmental contract, which obligates the county. The second set of items that will ultimately come before the PFA would be a list of water sewer projects in and around Jones County to effectively do 4 or 5 different projects for the county at the direction of the Board of Commissioners. And I'll leave what those projects are with Jason. From a timing perspective, the jail refinancing would really require or have some activity in the next 30 days or so, really probably the first or second day of November potentially. And then the water projects would likely probably be at the very, very end of this year or towards the beginning of next year. Of course, we're managing interest rates and trying to, plan with all these projects, and there are a lot of balls in the air, and these things just kind of evolve, if you will. David, do you have anything to kind of fill into that?
No, these projects have been, the two that have been completed, for the jail and for the recreation, those are already in force, and this is really just like refinancing your house, and there's considerable savings for the county. The water improvements for something in this county is needed for a mechanism like the public facility starting for a number of years. And this will enable the county to, have a lower cost of funds on those more ready projects and hopefully, improve the economic activity in the county.
Questions regarding the authority or about some of the proposed projects, anything we can help answer for the group?
John, let me ask you a question. If you have it right there in front of you, does it call for the secretary and treasurer to be two distinct, separate persons, or can that be one individual?
I think it can be the same individual. The act reads that the members of the authority shall elect a secretary who need not be a member of the authority, and may also elect a treasurer who may not need to be a member of the authority. I would recommend that probably be the same individual. I don't think it's necessary to have two different entities. It actually says further, the secretary may also serve as the treasurer.
Okay.
So it's permissive in that appointment.
Let me ask you this too. This board is going to need to set their meeting schedule moving forward. And from the projects that we have that really need to move forward quickly, the refinance and the water projects, would you all estimate on your end that the board should meet monthly, bi-monthly, to begin with? That could always be changed in the future when they're less busy with projects. But what are your suggestions as far as us meeting our timelines?
So I don't think you've got to have a standing meeting per se. I think it can be really special call meetings when necessary. Since we do have, I guess, a couple of pending projects, it may be helpful to go ahead and, while we everybody together, look at some calendars for some meeting dates in November, December, because we are going to need the authority to take some action related to refinancing, and then we may also have to at least take some preliminary action related to the water sewer, even if that is pushing into the new year.
Yeah, I would see, or poll to see if, based on the jail refinancing, ideally, we would have this authority come back together either November 1st or 2nd if everybody's calendars are available for that. And then after that would just be set for, just as on an as-needed basis.
So if this authority decides to meet,
Meet on the first or second, Andrew, is that the reason for this day?
They meet on the 2nd.
if this authority were to decide to meet prior to our commission meetings, because sort of the personnel is already in place, that would be November the 2nd, say 4:30, 5 o'clock. Would that give you all sufficient time to meet the refi deadline?
That would be perfect.
And if we're shooting for sort of that first Tuesday meeting of the month, if they met on December 7th to address the water and sewer financing, would that, I guess, be sufficient timing again to meet the deadlines that we're trying to hit with that project?
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful, and then obviously if we needed to push that meeting later or change it, we could probably do so, but having that date nailed down would be great.
Okay. Members of the board, do you all have any questions regarding sort of what your role is, what this authority is, what you're being asked to do or tasked to do?
I have a question. I'm not sure who I need to direct this to, but as far as liability of this board, I guess bottom line, can we be sued?
Certainly you can be sued, but in any financing capacity, you will be essentially indemnified by the county. You know, the county will, in documents, make it clear that they will be responsible for the authority, including the individual members. And so there's not any liability to as individuals serving in that capacity.
I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Sunset Harris.
Yeah, so the county really sort of holds the bag for any liability that may result from the actions of this board. Any other questions?
So will there be, like, the communication or presented like by email and so forth? I know like this was sent to my work email. So
Right.
is there any liability to be sent to, or should it be like a county email address, or how should that?
No, it would be your personal, because you're not an employee of the county as a member of this authority. But if you want a different email address set up, whenever you all appoint a secretary, whoever that may be,
Somebody's hiding.
she or he will make sure to get your contact information, because she or he will send out the agenda, but prior to the meeting, and any documents that you all would need to review prior to the meeting, so that you come in feeling prepared. Any other questions for these guys? All right. If you guys have nothing else to do, we'd love for you to hang out. But if it's close to dinner time and you want to head out of your office, we appreciate your time.
So I'm going to excuse myself. But I look forward to working with everybody and hopefully get to see everybody in person November 2nd.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Thanks, John. we look forward to meeting you in person, maybe when COVID's not as big a threat and we got a little more time, we're happy to come do it anytime.
Perfect.
And Jason, I just emailed you our county regulatory letter. When we get a chairman elected tonight, Jason, while you've got time, if you print that and have that signed on behalf of the authority, that way we can put that in our regulatory files. But I just emailed that to you.
Okay, I sure will.
Okay, all right. Thanks, y'all. Have a wonderful evening.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know we went out of order, so we're going to skip back up to number one, and some things that we need to take care of would be electing officers. So if you all don't mind, I don't mean, it's not my intention to put you on the spot, but if we could go in order and you just state your name so that you all get to know each other, if there's anybody that doesn't know each other on the board, and maybe just sort of what you do so that you all know the other one's strengths, and as you all are discussing things moving forward.
My name is Sunset Harris. In another life, I was a therapist. I worked in the kaolin industry for almost 25 years as a plant supervisor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
My name's Jamie Huckabee. I'm on our team sports, and I used to be president of youth football here and served on that board for about 19 years. Did a lot of coaching youth sports, and it's got a big family here, and that's about it.
I'm Tracy McSwain, and I have been in banking for 33 years. I'm currently a mortgage underwriter, so finance is my background. So.
And this is the trouble chair that you're sitting in when you.
I need to move.
We can go ahead and switch, Tracy. I'll assume that.
My name's TJ Heath. I won't go into what all I do, but I'm a local business owner here and lived in Jones County my whole life.
Hey, I'm Reagan Skinner. I'm a realtor, currently a realtor. I was a retail manager for a pull and spot company for 15 years, been a realtor for 5, and also sit on the Jones County Planning and Zoning Board. So.
Do you all know Jason and Shannon? Okay. Just gonna assume. So we would need to first address electing officers. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with the chairman. Do we have a motion?
We elected TJ when he wasn't here, so.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion for TJ Heath as chairman and a second. All in favor?
All right.
There you go.
Well, I am sitting in the chair, so.
Yeah.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Vice chairman. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we elect Tracy as the vice chairman.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, Tracy. We next need to appoint the secretary. It would be my suggestion, unless you all have a lot of experience in the area of keeping minutes and so forth, that we beg Shannon to to go along with your motion. But do we have a motion of who you all would like to nominate as the secretary?
I'll make a recommendation, or make a nomination for Shannon, because it wouldn't be me.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? And Shannon will be the one that sends out your agendas with any documents that you all will need to review prior to any meetings and things of that nature. So make sure if email addresses change, phone numbers change, that she's always aware of that. Next is treasurer. Now, Jason is also a meeting of your board, and so is Levita, who's the finance director for the county. So you could make the treasurer the same position, or if there's someone else on the board that you think would serve well in that role, or possibly Levita. Jason, do you have any thoughts about that?
I think Levita will be the one that'll be acting
Right.
as the as the treasurer, whether
That's
she's
my
had a name or
thoughts,
not.
too.
And so it might make sense just to go ahead and name her officially to that role.
How do you
That
spell
might be
that?
my suggestion.
Lavita Crutchfield is L-A, capital V-I-T-A. And she's the county finance director. She's on this board as part of the act, actually, but
I'll make a motion, we ask Lavita to be the treasurer.
A second.
all in favor? Any opposed? All right. Let's discuss setting your next meeting date is November the 2nd, which is the first Tuesday of the month. It's also when the Board of Commissioners have their meetings, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Would that be convenient for
4:30?
4:30 or 5? I mean, this is your meeting, so you all would tell us. I'm just sort of throwing out ideas.
Earlier the better for me.
I can make it work anytime. That's fine.
Yeah, same for me.
I can do 4 or 5, anywhere.
4:30 be better, to have time, or
Well,
the goal is to have it before the
I
commissioner
know,
meeting?
yeah, cause I know that probably some of the commissioners may be present. It's end of the workday for Shannon and Jason also. Y'all wanna do 4:30? Is there a time that's better for you all? Is 4 better than 4:30 for you?
I think so.
Okay.
I make a motion that we do 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock on November the 2nd. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Okay, any opposed to that date and time? All right. We will need, and I'll be here present just so I can help you go through sort of calling the meeting to order and that kind of.
Yeah, that'd be a good
good
idea.
stuff.
That's November the 2nd.
Yes,
It's election day.
but we're still gonna have our meeting.
Yeah, I just know if anything, I guess, anything up here going on that would stop us from
It's
always.
It seems like we always have a meeting on election day.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this location agreeable? This is probably where it needs to be,
Yep.
but, okay. You all need to appoint your attorney for the authority. It won't hurt my feelings if you say you don't like me. I mean, it might, but.
I'll make a recommendation, we appoint you.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Y'all know I played college rugby, so everybody's being quiet. All right, so that is the appointment of our officers in our next meeting. I've made myself some notes of things that I'll talk to the board about, just sort of as we go through meetings. But that really doesn't have to be dealt with tonight. Anything else you can think of, Jason? Okay. All right, so generally at the end of your meetings, we'll have a opening for you all to make any comments. If you have any sort of comments that you want to make, questions, anything like that, is there anything that you all want us to address before we adjourn? I think we've taken care of everything. I've checked off everything on my notes. How about you, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, Shannon? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed to adjourning? All right, thank you all. It's very nice to meet you all, and we appreciate